It's been more than 2 years since the U.S. Surgeon General reported on the impacts of loneliness, from anxiety and depression to dementia and heart disease. Research has shown that one surprising remedy is the accidental connections created by the deliberate community design. Here to discuss it is Joel Embry, real estate developer and creator of the Amelia Park community in Fernandina Beach. Good morning, Joel.
Thank you. Good morning.
So this week you are hosting a conference of so-called new urbanist developers, Wednesday through Saturday of this week. It's the National Town Builders Association.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about what that group does, and what you hope to show them when they come to town.
New Urbanism is the basis of the organization. We are a group of 150 now, developers who've been doing New Urbanism since about 2005, and we organized a group to basically share our secrets. How do we don't do this is a lot of what we do.
Right.
So it has led us to all sorts of new ideas that we've shared together. So the NTBA is the place to come to if you're interested in becoming a new urban developer and you want to learn how to do it, and also how to improve what you're doing. So it's always been inward focused.
How do you explain new urbanism to people who aren't familiar with the concept, or perhaps aren't aware if they've seen it?
New urbanism is basically a neighborhood that may make you think you've stepped back into a time during or before World War II.
Mm-hmm.
The principles of neighborhood development in Jacksonville, Avondale, San Marco, Atlantic Beach, these are neighborhoods that we love, and the principles that built those neighborhoods were not as tight as we have our zoning today. This was the nature of how you build a neighborhood so that people get along and have the services they need and the care they need, et cetera. So we have adopted, through some very good architects and planners who did the research, to bring those principles back. So the walkability, the connection of different types of dwellings, so that's not all monoculture. It's people of all sorts, and that is one of the major principles. But the walkability, the dwelling types, there are places to work, shop, play. We at Amelia Park, we actually have a YMCA and a church, and a school. So things that you would see in a World War
And a bookstore, restaurant.
A very good one, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
It's become the cultural center of the island, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's Story and Song Books. We've had them on before. So Amelia Park is, I guess, at this point, pretty much built out, but it is a project that has been with you and certainly in your mind for decades. Tell us about how the idea for it originated and what the concept is there.
I had come to Jacksonville as a banker. I worked for Barnett Bank and was doing a lot of real estate work in the trust department. So I got an offer to join a developer in Fernandina Beach who was planning his retirement. I joined him and worked through that a few years, and then created my own company. That led me to a long-term marketing. I was a broker, I was a developer, and I did neighborhoods that were pretty much standard suburban neighborhoods, but in a very beautiful and wonderful place. So I was a part of the Summer Beach project early on, and learned a lot from those developers. They were seasoned folks, and so it led me to do a number of neighborhoods, and even some of the repurposing of the buildings on Center Street.
Yeah.
So I was all of the pieces of the neighborhood. I was doing the pieces, but not together. So I then was introduced by my parents, who retired, to the Panhandle. And my dad called me up and he said, "You need to come see this. Somebody has built a little shack on the beach. I don't know what it is." And it was the first buildings of Seaside, Florida.
Seaside. And that is a kind of a now, certainly statewide, but, also renowned in other places around the world for the design, the concept. It's a lot of people know it through the Truman Show, that
Right,
film,
right.
but it was one of the first in Florida. Really, I guess it was the first.
It was the first complete neighborhood that was designed with what have now, it was traditional neighborhood development at that time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new brand. We as brokers and developers, we sell things, and so we all have adopted the name New Urbanism. But traditional neighborhood development started at Seaside.
A
Truly.
shack on the beach is an interesting way to describe what
Yeah.
this prestigious, and really high end community. So
Yeah.
it looked different from the beginning.
It looks like an old-fashioned cottage.
Mm-hmm.
It's wooden. It's got a front porch. It's got a pitched roof. It's got, windows that are rectangular and vertical, and it's standard old-fashioned. You can go look at it in any neighborhood that has bungalow development or any kind of small cottage development in World War II neighborhoods.
If you're just joining us, we're talking about new urbanism. And in just a minute, we're going to be talking about health impacts that new urbanism design can have on individuals. If you'd like to join the conversation, you can give us a call at 904-549-2937. You can also email firstcoastconnect@wjct.org, or you can tag us on social media. Joel Embry, so there has long been sort of anecdotal evidence that living in a community that is designed according to some of these principles has a beneficial effect for people who live there, certainly in terms of creating a sense of community. But there's more than just anecdotal evidence at this point. Is that right?
We've been operating for a long time on anecdotal evidence alone. We observe it in our meetings. We share what we see it going on in our neighborhoods, and the idea arose, just from conversation, that people actually got to know each other easier in the neighborhoods that we were building under the traditional neighborhood principles than the standard automobile dominated neighborhoods and shopping center, etc., of the suburban style of development. So what we observed is that the people were, and the residents who moved into these neighborhoods got to know each other easier through alleys. We have a lot of them have alleys still. That was the old-fashioned idea. When you take the garbage out, you meet somebody. You take the garbage out the same time every day. You get to know them. You talk to them, and over time you find out that you have things in common. Do those things together for a while, and you meet people that they know, then they sort of build that as a group, and over time you get this connectivity, which leads you to a point where you can learn who to trust, who to rely on, who are your good friends. If you live with your good friends in a neighborhood for about 5 years or so, I think you become a community. You belong. So that's really the principle. But we telling someone that, I got caught dead, several times behind a microphone like this trying to explain it, and said, and I was asked one day, "Where's your data?" And I just gave him some kind of blow-off remark, and ran from it because I had no data. So I was ready to get the data after years of not having it. I wanted to prove it along with my fellows. So Jenny and I went to FSU and said, we'd like to study it.
Jenny's your wife?
Yeah, Jenny Mark is my wife, and I said we would like to study it at the School of Social Sciences at FSU. Before we could even turn the page to research it, and we had 5 faculty members who just jumped on it. We're really eager to do it. The Surgeon General issued a report and said that neighborhood connectivity, social connectivity, neighborliness, all of these ideas actually can make us healthier, certainly happier, and live longer. And through that, I went back to the
And that was based on research. That was based on data.
325 references. We no longer needed to go search the literature for it. It had been done. So we received a gift from FSU, from the Surgeon General, and we have had the opportunity now to share that, and we found the people who generated that. The Surgeon General is the person who brought it to the public's attention. The people who found 325 references were the people I wanted to talk to.
Uh-huh.
So I found the person who was the head researcher.
I want to ask you, I mean, that report is coming at the same time the Surgeon General is warning of a, quote, epidemic of loneliness in this
Yes.
country. And we sort of alluded to that at the beginning. This is something that's not just occasional loneliness or even isolation, but it really is a profoundly um, harmful
Yes.
factor. People are
Right.
suffering, physical ailments from it. And a great number of the population say that they experience it. So what is the nexus between that research and the information about neighborhoods?
We have the NTBA has had this conversation, and this is the first time that we've gathered together to make an official examination at this roundtable. We meet twice a year. So our roundtable is focused on the learning more about the evidence, and the speakers are the research director for the Surgeon General's report, as well as another global study that is being taken, a 5-year study that is in its second year now.
That's the global
The global
flourishings.
flourishing, right? So we've got these most knowledgeable people, I think, in the world on these subjects to come share with us how it works, what it is, what should we really know, and then ask the question we are asking ourselves, the members, what are we going to do with this? We've already been producing neighborhoods that are healthier, happier, and people live longer and love being there and don't go away. I'm in the business of helping them stay in their homes with the telehealth and the data management and all. That's came out of the effort to keep to provide the means to stay in your home as long as you want to.
One of the focuses of Amelia Park from the beginning was aging in place. And
Yes.
that's something that can be very difficult for people. Explain what it was that you were looking to build to make that easier or even possible.
The principles of new urbanism, the walkability, the connectivity to neighbors, people that have your well-being at their interest. This is the principle that we're is the backbone. The telehealth and the services that we've discovered, we call them the means of longevity extension. This is how do you live longer where you want to be, and if you can do that and not disrupt your comforts of home and in the house you live in, that you know very, very well and have to move closer to children usually is what's happening, or assisted living. There,
Right.
more institutional kinds of living, and give up your friendships. That's where we're really working.
We've got a call from John in Riverside. Good morning, John. Go ahead.
Good morning. I'm calling from my front porch in Riverside, where I have lived for 41 years. One of the things that I enjoy most about Riverside is the mix of people that are here. I'm 78, so they're old people, young people. The neighborhood has changed and gentrified. There are obvious signs of wealth, expensive dogs, small children, things like that. But within a couple of blocks of here is a more working class, more racially diverse. My neighborhood is racially diverse. It's one of the reasons I moved here 41 years ago. So it has all that. I used to work for the phone company, and I would go down Argyle Drive in Orange Park, and each little cul-de-sac would cut off. They were developing. Now, the prices are from 20, 30 years ago, but one cutoff would say from the 170s, the next would say from the 180s, the next from the 190s. And I thought these people are being segregated by their income levels and probably by their age groups. And so they have no idea how people at a higher or lower income level live. And so they're going to be limited to stereotypes about poorer or richer or older or younger people. So, there are just so many advantages of. One of the things is, if I want to go for a walk to exercise, I just open my front door and go for a walk. I don't have to drive to a mall.
Yeah.
My life is right here. I'm within walking distance of grocery stores, medical care, restaurants, all sorts of entertainment venues.
Yeah.
I love Riverside.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Your
John,
thoughts?
John, you and I have a lot in common. And what you're saying is what we study. Exactly. You're giving us a testimonial of what neighborhoods can do for your well-being and your enjoyment of living.
So let's talk about, I mean, he's describing these cul-de-sac subdivisions that
Yeah.
are, perhaps somewhat segregated by income. But they also, the design of those types of neighborhoods really destroyed the connectivity, whether you're trying to take a bike ride, you can't go from cul-de-sac to cul-de-sac or even neighborhood to neighborhood. They don't connect. Some of them are gated. Some of them you can't access. But that is the, predominant design, certainly in Northeast Florida and probably all of Florida.
Across the country.
So why is that? I mean, if there are elements that people like about walkability, if they like the connectivity, what are the barriers?
Well, the first of all, let's say that that connectivity and diversity of building types is a major principle of new urbanism. In the first phase of Amelia Park, we created 9 different building types, residential building types, plus civic, church, YMCA, and a little town center where you can go do your daily shopping. We were across the street. We were lucky to have that. But take me back. I sort of took your question and ran with it.
Yeah, just sort of what the barriers are. I'm guessing that some of them are
It's zoning.
logistical zoning, but cost as well.
The cost gets driven a lot by the density and zoning allowances. Multifamily, you might be able to buy a less expensive dwelling in multifamily because the land cost is being shared with more. But in the way that we approached our neighborhood, the diversity is really the social diversity is just as John said, and the cost, the pricing. We have a wide array of pricing. One of our goals was to be a middle market price, where Seaside had escalated into it was at the Gulf of Mexico. So,
But these are some ways can be victims of their own success, these neighborhoods, because like Seaside certainly became enormously popular. Amelia Park is enormously popular. And I would venture to say that some of the places that began as quote unquote, kind of smaller affordable units are less affordable than they once were.
one of the goals of Amelia Park, one of the objectives, was to build a middle market, pricing so that it was accessible to more people. And we did. We offered our first homes. You could buy a home for $130,000 in 1998. So we saw it work as we unfolded more types. The people who bought earlier are selling their houses for twice as much as they paid us for them.
Right.
So the market has continued on the resale side to press it up. And a study was recently done comparing Amelia Park and a neighborhood across the street on the other side of Sadler Road that I developed. So the same developer, same neighborhood, same location, and the pricing of Amelia Park, the value of the homes in Amelia Park has shot up so much more than the other neighborhood, where the only difference really is the design.
Is so interesting. And you mentioned zoning. Has that issue gotten any easier now that there are these living examples of these communities that planning commissions and city managers can look at and say, well, it works. We don't need to be as nitpicky about allowing, an overall changing to the zoning that maybe messes with the set formula?
I would like to say yes, but I've got to say not so much. It's hard to get within a community if there is an example that works, like Fernandina Beach. You've got a historic district that is actually the inspiration of the plan, of the principles that we used at Amelia Park, you've got two neighborhoods that work that way. Now there are other neighborhoods that are being developed on Amelia Island that reflect those principles. So when the ice is broken by someone who's willing to go seek 24 variances, then you've got an example. But it's community by community, unless there are a lot of people who are traveling and have an opportunity to visit neighborhoods like Seaside, which are really resort neighborhoods. So you can go rent a house and play town, for a week at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So you can bring that back home. But I would tell you that the surveys that we've done, the NTBA and others have done, say that we're about 20% of the country's demand is for neighborhoods like this.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 70 to 80% that want the suburban, that will say they would prefer it. Maybe they don't know the difference, maybe not seen it, but when you get down to it, why would you not? If you want to, I've been asked, why do you do this when you've got 70% of the market says it doesn't like it? My answer is because about 3% of the buildings that are going, neighborhoods that are being built are new urbanism. So the imbalance between supply and demand for new urbanism is extreme. So when you build a little bit of it and you want to be average price, you can't. The market takes over.
We're talking about the health and community benefits of new urbanism and the design of these communities. If you'd like to join the conversation, you can give us a call at 904-549-2937. We've got a call from Tricia in Ponte Vedra. Good morning, Tricia. Go ahead.
Good morning, Ann. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Tricia.
I love this idea, and I think that I agree with you 100% about the importance of community. But it seems to me that you're building a community that is still going to be governed by an HOA and is going to, at some point, eventually discourage creativity, discourage people, different types of people moving into a community because they don't want to be told when they can paint their houses or when they can put fences up. How do you build a community that allows people to move in and, for lack of a better term, just be themselves?
That's a great question.
It is, and it's something that I am observing because we've turned over the neighborhood some time back. The developers are gone. The HOA is in charge of the neighborhood, and there are questions that are raised about what the future is and how to change things to people's likes and dislikes through the HOA. I don't see this happening in any substantial, making any substantial changes in Amelia Park. There's some thing you get into an argument about what the townhouse shutters, what color the townhouse shutters could be. Those kinds of architectural review board questions. But most of the residents of Amelia Park, and I don't live there, so I observe. But the residents prefer maintaining the kind of neighborhood vibe and neighborhood enjoyment, much like, I would say, probably more like a Atlantic Beach vibe. That's that it's a small town in a bigger city,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the Amelia Park residents like to live. I don't know how it'll go in the future. There have been moves at Amelia Park to change things radically, but they don't really change what we've already built. It's there.
I could talk to you all day about this, but it is fascinating. I hope that the conference brings a lot of good information to the people that attend. Joel Embry, developer of Amelia Park, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.